Hi, and welcome back to Dana Delivers, the show where meaningful conversations meet practical inspiration. I'm your host, Dana, and in today's episode, we're exploring how timing, market dynamics, and even global health crisis can delay the adoption of innovations that are not only timely, but ultimately essential. This is a conversation about resilience, foresight, and leadership, the kind that cuts through the noise and stays the course through uncertainty. I'm joined by Brandon Barton, a visionary in hospitality tech and the CEO of Byte, an industry-leading kiosk ordering platform used by fast casual restaurants and convenience stores around the country. But behind every breakthrough is a story of timing, grit, and belief. Today, Brandon shares his journey and gives us an inside look at what makes Byte so powerful and why it's gaining momentum so fast. Hey, Brandon, how are you?
I'm really good, Dana. Really good to see you.
Thank you. And Brandon, I always like to start the podcast with the first time I met someone. And as we've spoken earlier, I do remember meeting you when you were at Aprio. But more importantly, since we're going to talk more about Byte today, I remember when you told me that you were joining this new company, that they had kiosks, they were going into restaurants, and we were at Mylino, and I thought you were bananas. I never told you that, but
I was going to say, you never said that at the time.
Never.
Like, it's called ruinous empathy. There you go.
Is that what I didn't even know what that word means, but yes. But it was, I liked you and I was like, what is this guy doing? This sounds nuts. But now here we are. And clearly you were right. You made a great move and you're working with a great company and a great product. So Brandon, let's hear a little bit about what's going on. So tell me a little bit about you and let's talk about Byte and how great it's going.
I really appreciate you having me on first and foremost. You and I have been in the world of restaurants and restaurant technology for years. So I love that you're doing this. I've listened to a bunch of episodes. It's really great. I am Brandon. I am the CEO of Byte. Byte is now one of Fast Company's most innovative companies in the world.
That's not restaurant specific. That is real, all companies.
That is correct. That is all companies. People like Waymo and NVIDIA and Duolingo and Liquid Death and Byte. This is a really great honor. And so Byte is the leader of self-service kiosks in the restaurant, which really means fast casual QSR and C-store space. And so there was a really great piece put out by Restaurant Business today that talked about a little bit of the origins of Byte, where I met the two founders. They showed me a kiosk that had facial recognition on it. And by the way, that meeting, as you'll laugh, was at Mylino for breakfast. Of course it was, which is where you had found out about my departure, Resi, and going over to Byte. But in any case, the facial recognition was amazing and it remembered who you were. And at the time, McDonald's was using kiosk and Panera was using kiosk and Shake Shack was just...
This was a long time ago. Like this was like facial recognition wasn't a thing. What year are we talking?
This was 2017,
right.
2016,
so we're now
17.
talking about, it's crazy.
And I think the world's changed a lot since then, clearly, but it was early days. And McDonald's, funny enough, had launched a kiosk project in I think as early as 2010. And so I knew that these big behemoth restaurants and then Shake Shack, little Shake Shack at the time, which probably had 30 restaurants, was also testing kiosk. And so I thought it was man, this is going to be something big. And I got involved with Byte. They were generous enough to make me the CEO of the company. We're coming off the heels of Resi being purchased by Amex. So there was a nice exit that we had there. And the team was like, Brandon, you should probably lead. And I was like, let's do it. That being said, today we work with hundreds of brands and thousands of restaurants. And I think it's actually, this is the year, maybe the last 12 months is the time at which kiosks has become a need to have instead of a nice to have. And rising labor costs, especially led by states like California, have led to restaurants having to innovate and use tech to make their restaurants and profit lines more efficient.
And it's not just restaurants, right? We were just, as you mentioned just now, you're in C-stores also. So when I think of a C-store, I think about going in and picking up a sandwich that's been sitting under a heater or picking up a bag of chips. But we're now starting to see brands go into these restaurants, whether it be a Subway or make your own deli sub. So do you want to talk how is Byte getting into that world?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more C-stores are becoming restaurants than Byte is going into C-stores in a way, right? The convenience stores and what we're, a lot of people, what does a convenience store really think about? Gas stations in a lot of sense. These are very centrally great real estate located right off the freeway or right in the center of town type of locations. And they realize that if they can make hot made to order food, there's another revenue stream that comes along with your pit stop for gas. And
And
so,
it doesn't even need to be hot necessarily, right? It could just be made to order, like we said just now, like
yeah,
with a sandwich.
sandwich, salads, any of that stuff. Exactly. Putting an MTO program in, and you see the early innovators like Wawa and Sheets doing this, of course, and then it's spread across the country. And so we're really fortunate to work with a number of convenience store brands that are either franchisees of big brands, Love's we work with, and they have, they're one of the largest franchisees of Subway stores just by virtue of the fact that they have so many Subways.
That's so cool. So you're in facial recognition. We're 2017. You're one of the innovators there. Like you said, now our phones have this technology, but then it was something new and exciting. The company that it was then to the company it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I think we went on really it's a three-part play here. And the first part was telling the world that kiosk was important and that there was this coming pressure to restaurants, and not only just pressure to restaurants on a wage and, let's say, a cost perspective of hiring, but also guests were becoming more digitally centered and they were very comfortable ordering themselves. Then COVID hit and we were scared to touch, the grocery cart in the grocery store. So clearly a shared touchscreen was something that was maybe people shied away from. And
Yeah.
then as we've come out of COVID in 22, 23, restaurants went ahead during that time and put in every single piece of tech that they need for online ordering, right? From online ordering to loyalty to the menu management below that. And the CIO and CTO all of a sudden had a seat at the main table saying, hey, there's other things out there that we can do to help take pressure off of our bottom line, but also drive sales. The best part about Byte is not that it takes any pressure away from labor. It's that it increases the average check of kiosk orders by about 20 to 30%.
And that's where I was going to go next is you spoke about the lowering the cost, right? Because now we're being more efficient with our labor pool. We're not making mistakes, hopefully, because we're not taking the order if
Right.
someone's inputting it themselves. But we're also increasing revenue because whether it be the facial recognition or just predictive ordering, how else and what else are you guys doing?
Yeah, another buzzword of 2017 was AI, and now obviously that's everywhere. So we use AI in our personalization engine. So we have an algorithm, we call it Byte Lift. And so that takes all the data that we have, the billions of dollars of transactions that we
All
have,
right.
and it extracts the best recommendation for you in the exact moment that you're ordering. And so that means if you put a burger and a drink in your cart, we might suggest a fries or a dessert, right? Which is very simplistic to think about. But if you then put fries in your cart, we might suggest something else because we know that people who order fries also want, I don't know, cheese sauce to go along with it, right? And so the personalization engine is not just giving you a generic, here's a boilerplate upsell. It's changing dynamically. And that's the AI in the back just telling us, hey, this is a very likely item for this person in this moment. And then that's all even more effective when we know who the guest is via loyalty. Now, there's a low percentage of people who actually log into loyalty, but that's across the board.
People who do log in are, silly to say, but they are loyalists to a brand, right? If they are
Yeah.
coming in and doing it, then they're going to come back again and again.
Yeah, and I think about categories within the industry, like smoothie categories. Okay, we work with several of these brands, and they have people that probably come 3, 4 times a week. It might be right next to the yoga studio that they go to, and they go get their smoothie after, and that's their routine. Well, smoothies also happen to be things that are really customizable, and so how annoying would it be to go in and choose your strawberry vanilla smoothie and have to put all the proteins and everything in it, or do it the way you want?
To
Take
just
out
be
the
remembered on my phone or on my app or on my bite when I
yeah.
walk in and I look at the screen.
Bingo. And it can remember who you are either by the facial recognition, it can remember who you are by loyalty, but there's 1,000 different ways to do it.
So exciting. Is the information transferable? So, like, if I order all of my smoothies at Smoothie Place A in Midtown Manhattan, and then I go to the same smoothie place in Wichita, Kansas.
If it's within the same brand, yes, we would know who you are. Not across brands.
No, I think that's why I was trying to
Yeah.
make sure I said it the right way. Yes, obviously, we do not share information across brands. But if I go to the same place, even if it's a franchise location, it'll still recognize.
That's right.
Well, that's pretty cool. So even though different ownership, it still keeps it within the brand to help keep growing sales and help
That's right.
expand reach.
That's right. And the data that we can get is just so valuable to a restaurant's marketing team to understand how people are behaving, even if they're outside of your loyalty program.
Right, which is good because, as we know, data is our most important and most valuable asset right now.
More and more.
Exactly. So, Brandon, we hear about Bite. We're excited about it. Everyone who's listening has probably met you or seen you at a conference or maybe heard about you or something. Heard, if they haven't heard about you, then they've definitely heard you because, similar to me, you're not the quiet one in the room. So tell me what else is going on in Brandon's world as far as restaurant and the technology and all the other good stuff that's happening out there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have been involved in the restaurant industry since I'm 13 years old. So
Wow.
started as a busboy in Brooklyn, and so I always have my hands in a lot of different things. Outside of Bite, there are a couple friends who are starting companies that I like to help them along the way. That's always fun. I'm
Any you're going to shout out to, or we're all secret for now?
got to be secret. Yeah, but maybe when they come about, we'll see them. I'm also an entrepreneur in residence up at Cornell, where it was my alma mater, and so I just recently went back and spoken a couple great classes and met some students. And the quality of students coming out of these universities is so ridiculously high. They all have started companies and all have their own companies. It's my way to try to give back, as I have stood on the shoulders of others to get to where I am. And so I want to be able to help that network of younger people, the next generation of leaders, come about.
Couldn't agree more. I recently had a chance to speak at Columbia at their food entrepreneurship class.
Nice.
And it was a very humbling experience after class when everyone was telling me about the things they're doing. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. I thought I'm the one in the front of the room. And then I left with all these great ideas because of the people, not kids, but the young adults in the class, some who weren't that young.
They all ask me for jobs, and I'm like, I'm going to be asking you for a job in a couple of years. Don't worry about it.
Exactly. I'm going to ask them for jobs while they're asking me to introduce them to investors. So
Exactly.
here we go. Brandon, I love talking to you. I love seeing you. Hopefully we'll break bread over at Myelina one day again, but if not, somewhere soon, because it's always fun to have a chit chat. So thank you so much for joining today, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Dana Delivers. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I want to encourage you to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and share it with your friends, colleagues, and anyone else who could benefit from it. We have great conversations with top leaders in the restaurant, franchise, and hospitality space, where they offer their knowledge and expertise and give us valuable insight into these industries. If you have any questions or observations you'd like to share with me, please reach out at dana.zukovsky@aprio.com or visit our website at aprio.com to learn more about all the different ways Aprio can help your business. Thanks for tuning in, and I look forward to delivering more valuable content soon.